Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while. I've had a lot of stuff to deal with, had a little bit of a move recently, so just getting everything worked out and settled in. When we start making a lot more videos down the road, I've got some plans for less Let's Play content, more educational, um, substance-filled content, I would say. I still plan on finishing the Let's Plays that I have out there, and once I have, I might start another one and like have one running along. But I want to make some videos on like newer games and stuff, and actually explain in detail like strategies and basics behind certain games and stuff. Starting with this game right here. This is the Civilization 5. This is the expansion Gods and Kings. It just came out today. I was going to start off by looking over some of the new civilizations that are out there. Set up game. I was looking through them earlier. There's some interesting new stuff. The Huns, for instance. Raise cities at double speed, which is actually kind of nice, because I've played games a lot where I'm just taking over cities, burning them down. I'm like, these cities take forever to burn down. Kind of annoying when you have very little happiness to work with. I'm not sure about this one, borrow city names from other civs. I guess they don't have unique city names, I don't know. They start with animal husbandry, which is the only civ I think to start with the technology, other than the basic one. And +1 production from pasture, which I think is probably one of the best passes in the game, because there's a lot of, like, some of my best production cities in this game have always been, like, cities with pastures after they put in some of the smaller early buildings, like the new techs that like make, if you have a pasture you get +1 production for every pasture in that city, which is just phenomenal, and that's basically going to double that ability, which is good. Another interesting one, which is the Celts, the new faith system that was put into the game, takes place of religion from Civilization 4. I haven't got to play around with it lately because I just loaded the game up a few minutes ago, so a lot of this stuff will be new as it comes along, and I'll do some videos later that explain the stuff in more detail and perhaps strategies about how to work with it early game. The Celts here look like they're good at using the new system, Faith, kind of like the Iroquois, where they use forests for their bonus. This doesn't show what their units and buildings do, but I will actually load it into a game with the Celts, and this replaces the Spearman, the Pictish warrior, and they're kind of like the Aztec warrior, where their kills give you faith as opposed to culture. And this is just a later game building that does a bunch of stuff. I'm actually not sure. It might actually be the that actually might be your city hall or whatever the hell it's called in this game. Fort, castle, capital. I don't remember. The Carthage. This is kind of nice if you're a coastal seafaring player. Free harbor in every city. And they're the only civ that can cross mountains before you get flying of some kind. Of course, if you stop on the mountain, you take some damage. And I don't know about their stuff. They got a forest elephant and a new ship. And one of the recent changes in the expansion was naval warfare was fleshed out considerably. They basically turned it into the same thing as land warfare, where you have melee and ranged ships, and transports now stack with military vehicles, kind of like civilian units do with military units on the land. Sweden, they're another city-state focused civ, sort of. If you gift a great person, you get a large amount of influence. Those are their units. I don't know what they do. And if you declare friendship, they get 10% great person production bonus, so that sounds alright. It sounds pretty good, I guess. I guess it's probably really good for Sweden because it would stack, so if you have like 5 friends, you have 50% increase. I'm not sure about that. Ethiopia, interesting passive to go with, I guess, real life, I suppose. They're not a terribly large country, but they're pretty stable as far as I know. So having a combat advantage against people that are bigger than them seems good if you're doing like one city challenge, or if you're just doing like a 4-city build. That I think is pretty good for certain victory conditions. Who else is new? I think I actually didn't look at Spain last time I was looking through these. Gold bonus for discovering natural wonders. That's pretty obvious for them. It's a good one. And more if you're the first one to discover it. I think this one might be a DLC if I remember correctly. Culture happiness, tiles from natural wonders is doubled. That's pretty nice. They have the Conquistador and the Tercio. Austria can spend gold to annex or puppet allied city-states. Sounds interesting, actually. If you do gold to build with them, you don't ever have to really go to war and get all that stuff. So, coffee house. What else do we have here? The Maya, actually, I thought was pretty interesting. Once you get theology, you receive a bonus great person at the end of each of Mayan long count calendar cycles. So every 395 years. So early in the game, it's going to come by really quick. So my thought is the sooner you get theology, the sooner it would kind of be better, except you can only get like 5 great people, however many different types there are. I don't even remember off the top of my head. Oddly, they can build pyramid. Right, okay. I figured they might have come up with a different name for that, but they're pyramids. Byzantine, actually, I didn't look at these guys either. I skipped over them. Choose one more belief than normal when you found a religion. I'll have to go into that later when I come across religion and explain it to you. And we're playing 50% happiness benefits from luxury source if your last copy was traded away. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually really good if you do like a high difficulty game, because one of the best ways to do it was just kind of the same way in 4, is basically to be the money man and trade away everything you can and get a bunch of gold and use that gold to basically buy yourself and to be able to compete with the huge ass bonuses that the computer gets. So that sounds like a pretty interesting one, because the AI, I don't know if they've tweaked the AI enough, but they would spend a lot of money on when you sell them resources. So I'm going to load in, actually have a game that I'm going to load up with the Celts at like a nice starting area, so I'm going to load in and we'll start back up from there. Alright folks, here we are. Start as the Celts. I went ahead and founded the first city with my warriors up here. See what we have in the area. We have a luxury, 2 luxuries, some extra food production. Our second city has a good chance of getting cow. We have some fish to start off, so we're going to have some decent food production. And being the Celts, the game has internal programming for the same thing with the Aztecs with jungles, Iroquois with forests as well, and probably Carthage, I think it was, with the free harbors. They're probably programmed to almost always start near water, because it would kind of suck to be like these guys or the Iroquois and be in the middle of the plains with no forest anywhere on site. So text, there's a few, I haven't done a lot of looking through the tech tree, but I know this is our unique unit here. As you can see, it earns 50% of opponent's strength as faith for kills. So that's actually a balance change, I think. Probably the Aztec warrior has also changed, the Jaguar warrior. So that's that. They did a lot of changing to the combat. I think they increased unit hit points to 100 base instead of 10. So like one of the problems was you could zerg an enemy like tank, kind of with like crappy units, and every time you fought they would lose at least 1 hit point. So now there's a lot more balance later in the game when the really weak units fight a lot stronger units. So instead of doing automatic 10% of their damage, they can do as little as 1% of the damage to them. So works out for some endgame balance. I'm curious to see how the combat is changed with the expansion here. There's also a new, I'm pretty sure this is for everybody. They added a lot more units to fill in some of the gaps in the game. But you can upgrade the archer to the composite longbowman. Range strength 11, strength 7, so it's a moderate upgrade depending on your tech path. There's not a whole lot more they did. They did change Stonehenge, so it's not the ridiculously powerful culture. Kind of, in my opinion, for a lot of games to be like required because of how much culture it gives. I think it was 8, and that was just so much early in the game that it was kind of silly to play without getting Stonehenge. Here's one of the new buildings. I'm pretty sure. I didn't see this is a unique building, so I'm assuming everybody gets this. It'll be the same thing as like the monument, but for religion as opposed to culture. Which, now I think about it, where is the monument? The monument's not even listed anywhere. So the watermill. But then there was the stable. Each source of horse, sheep, cattle produce one production. So I would always build this building, even if I wasn't going to build a bunch of military there. If you can stack that with that one civilization that gets +1, the Huns, you get +1 production, so you get +2. So you can build get ridiculous production in certain cities. Some other interesting things down here. Great Mosque. There's some new wonders. There was another one down here. The Terracotta Army. It's a +6 culture. So they did that. They changed the +8, got rid of it and made it faith. And then made a new one here for culture, but it's only +6 as opposed to +8. So they're doing some like tweaking and balancing of some of the more powerful builds, I believe. I wonder how happiness is going to work out, because that's always been one of my biggest issues with the game. Plus, I don't remember if I think it was still +5 Circus Maximus. Colosseum, but that's odd. That's odd that that's up there though, because the Colosseum's down here. So you can get a horse, you can like ignore construction the entire game almost, and still get Circus Maximus access. Interesting choice. Food deals, open borders, pikemen are now 16 strength. Let's see, swordsmen are 14. I think they used to be 16 or 12. Oh, I don't even remember. 12. They were 11. They were 7. They used to be lower too, I think. Actually, I can't remember some of the values. I do remember more of the late game. What are these guys? 21. They used to be 18, and they were dropped to 16. Now they're 21. I think they balanced a lot of the mid-level units here. Musketmen. It's kind of stupid. I think that's dumb, honestly. I guess you need physics too to get them, but the fact that musketmen require no resource, even though they require, I guess, 2 more techs to get to, I guess that kind of gives them a chance. I like the fact that long swordsmen were a little more powerful before, simply because they required a resource. That's one problem with the game, I feel, is that the resources aren't as important, I would say, simply because you either have them or you don't. If you have them, you're usually pretty good, and then late game you usually have so many it doesn't even matter. You can pause and look at some of these new things. I'm not going to go over all of them at the moment. Reduces enemy spy stealing. There's, I don't know a lot about, I don't know anything about these espionage in the game at the moment. Here's a new unit. Ranged unit. Hermitage, porcelain tiles are all used to be in the game. Riflemen, 34. They moved them, I think. Yeah, I think rifling used to be after gunpowder. Used to be pretty easy to get to, because I think you needed... Didn't you used to need rifling to get cannons? I think. I don't remember. See, dynamite, 28 with 21. It looks like a balance change they made, that ranged units aren't super ridiculously useless in melee anymore. And they have the triplane and the Great War Bomber, both requiring oil. Odd. They changed this. Replaceable parts. Great War Infantry, so that'd be World War I? It looks like he's wearing World War I clothes. Could be wrong. Or it could be their amalgamation or whatever they think it is. Counterintelligence agency uses spying chance. Broadcast tower still the same. Eiffel Tower still the same. The land ship, that's actually really cool right there. The World War I tank. Powerful late game unit, can move after attack. That's the... Okay, here's a thing that I cannot pronounce. Sorry, I'm not gonna try. That's... Is Machu Picchu still in the game? Oh, there's the little hall. What was Machu Picchu under? There it is. They moved it back farther, it looks like. Because now there's two. There's an early Machu Picchu and there's a late game Machu Picchu. Which is something I can't pronounce. Wow, they really wrecked this part of the tech tree. Holy, wow. That looks completely different. So replaceable parts can give you those. You need plastics and electronics for atomic theory. That makes a lot of sense. Refrigeration of plastics for penicillin, which gives you the marine. I guess it's a Vietnam nod, I suppose. Radar, electronics, and ballistics gives you radar. Makes sense. Ballistics gives you the machine gun. Finally, they put that in the game. Anti-aircraft gun. Combustion plus ballistics gives you combined arms. Being tanks, anti-tanks. That makes sense. Whereas flight gives you ballistics, radar, rocketry, satellites. It actually makes a lot more sense than the old technology tree. That's for sure. Atomic theory and penicillin gives you ecology. Makes sense. Telecom. Let's see where the stupid, I hate the United Nations. It's too easy to win with the United Nations. Might not be as bad as it used to be. That's not bad. Bomb shelter. Free broadcast tower in all cities. +1 population in all cities. And +1 happiness in all cities. The GDR is still in the game. I've never actually built one. I should build one at some point. And just run over a bunch of dudes. Looks like they put a lot of the spaceship parts in this little cluster right here. But they just kind of like tidied up this part of the tech tree, which I kind of like. It looks a lot better. That's nice. Pretty much stop spies in your city. Alrighty, so that's an overview of the whole new tech tree. It's more or less the same in the early, in the middle, and the later game, and then the really late game it's a lot different. They just kind of overhauled the whole thing. Start with the monument, pick our tech. Let's go with pottery since we're going religion, I'm sure. But I will go over some of the other stuff in the next video. Thank you for tuning in, folks, and I hope to see you in a lot more of my videos coming up. Thank you.